Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk a little bit about the fiancé petition and procedurally what needs to be done once you get the approval of the fiancé petition. So a lot of people think that, once they get the approval, that they can just, walk to the consulate, make the appointment, get the K-1, come to the U.S., get married, and have their green card. It's not quite that simple. The K-1, of course, which is the visa designation for the fiancé petition, needs to be properly submitted. And once it is approved, and by approval, I have other videos on this, but once the approval is given, where they show that it's going to be a bona fide marriage, that they're not going to get married for purposes of the green card, that there's, that there's qualifications on both sides. Then what happens is the USCIS electronically sends the approval to the U.S. consulate, and then at some point there will be an interview which will be given for the person who wants to come in on the fiancé visa. Now, when that person gets the interview appointment, there are different things that need to be done in order to essentially get the actual approval to be able to come in to the United States. So as we can see with many typical types of visas, is the original K-1 is approved stateside by USCIS, but in order to actually get into the United States, you have to have approval from DOS, which is Department of State, and that's at the U.S. consulate, okay? And in order to do that, you have to fill out the necessary paperwork. They need to find out that you're not inadmissible on any of the other charges or anything that makes you inadmissible, such as fraud or misrepresentation or prior removal orders or criminal history, or public charge issues. There's all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, they need to make sure that the U.S. citizen can petition you. So there's issues as to how many fiancé petitions that person has filed in a certain period of time, whether or not they're subject to having to do a Walsh waiver because of a particular crime that they might have in regards to criminal history with sexual history with minors and things like that. So there's a whole other level of checking that needs to be done at the U.S. consulate after you have the K-1 approved in the U.S. Now, another thing, it doesn't just take 20, 30 days. I have so many people that come into the office and they say, can you do a K-1 and can my fiance be here in a month? And of course the answer is no. Whoever told you that either isn't an immigration attorney or they're unfamiliar with the procedures, because right now, to even get the appointment at the U.S. consulate, once it's submitted to USCIS, that's taking around 9 months. It depends where in the world you are, and some take a little less than others, some take a little more. It really does depend. But the consulate processing part of the K-1 is essentially just as important as the K-1 itself. So you have to get out of your mindset that just because you have an approval from the USCIS of a K-1, that doesn't mean you're home free. You need to make sure that the consulate processing package is done properly, that it shows you're not inadmissible, that the petitioner is not inadmissible, and that everything is allowable for you to come in which to marry the U.S. citizen. Okay, so if you like the video, click like, subscribe, and more on the coming videos. Thank you.